Hey, everyone. Welcome to Horror Talk Live, episode 8. And tonight, since we're deep into the Christmas season now, what better way to get into the Christmas spirit than to talk about a little film called Silent Night, Deadly Night? And I hope you're all having a great Friday night out there. Thanks for joining me. If you do put anything in the chat, we are in about a 15-second delay, so it'll take me about 15 seconds to see it. I will promise to try to respond to everyone that's in the chat. But just so you know, we are on a delay. So if I don't get back to you right away, don't take offense. We're on about a 15-second delay according to my calculations. Tonight I am coming from a different location. Let me know if you can hear me too. Headphones aren't working, so I'm going right just with the mic. I tested the sound, but it should be all right. But just let me know in the chat if I'm a little low or whatever. Hey, Kurt. I'm coming at you from a different location tonight. I got kicked out of my normal shooting location. My son Troy is up there playing video games with his friends online. So I'm actually coming to you from his bedroom this evening. Not that you could see much of it, but we have a Christmas tree. We're very festive here. And just a little housekeeping to start this off. I don't know if anybody watched the video from the other day. I did a little video. It was very well received. Got a lot of messages. I want to thank everybody who responded to that video. The case for physical media. Got a lot of hits on that one. A lot of responses. Got a private messages. I appreciate you all for reaching out to me. It was just a video I did off the cuff. I didn't write anything down. I had no notes. It's just something I'm very passionate about, physical media over digital. And with Best Buy into the new year, Best Buy is going to stop selling physical media. And now with Sony releasing that last week about they're dropping 1,500 pieces of content off their service, I just thought it was a video I had to do. And I appreciate everybody who watched it and reached out to me and told me their thoughts on the physical media versus digital war. It's not really a war, but it's just your preference if you rather buy things digital or on physical media. But again, it was a very well received video, and I appreciate all the feedback I got on that one. All right, thank you. I guess I am good here. It's flying a little blind without the headphones on. Like I said, I did test it, and it sounded pretty good, but you never know until we're live. Things can go awry really quickly. And cheers to everybody out there. I hope you're having a great Friday night, and I hope you're enjoying the Christmas season thus far. Except for you, Rich. I know this is your favorite time of year. Before we get into Silent Night, Deadly Night, little housekeeping. We're going to go over some physical media releases. Talking about physical media releases, there were some really big ones coming up. I'm not going to go over them all. Just a handful coming up the next couple weeks, and then some really big ones in March that got announced a few weeks ago. First up, we got Clue. Clue with Tim Curry. I love that movie. Christopher Lloyd's in that movie as well. It's coming to 4K December 12th, this coming Tuesday from Shout Select, to find people over Shout Factory. Also, this Tuesday, December 12th, an action classic, at least in my opinion, John Woo's Face Off with Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. God, I love this goddamn movie. I already ordered it 4K. I can't wait to get it. That drops from the fine folks at Kino Lorber on this Tuesday, December 12th. Good choice, Simmons. I love Black Christmas. Rosa never saw that, correct? Did she like it? Let me know, Rich. I thought she said she never saw that one. I love the original Black Christmas. I plan on watching it this coming week. Also this week on December 12th, for you folks that saw Five Nights at Freddy's, that drops on December 12th on 4K and Blu-ray. December 19th, we got The Warriors, Walter Hill classic from Arrow Video. Those folks do great work over there, and I love The Warriors, and that's dropping on 4K on December 19th, just in time for Christmas, baby. The Dead Zone from Scream Factory is getting released on 4K. Yes, Rich does not like Christmas. Yeah, I know. He loved our decorations when he visited a couple weeks ago. The Dead Zone comes out in 4K from the fine folks at Scream Factory on December 19th, just in time for Christmas. A big one just got announced the other day on February 20th. Sam Raimi's self-written, self-made superhero movie, Darkman, comes for the first time to 4K from the fine people at Shout Factory. That's on February 20th. And in March, we got 3 big, huge titles finally coming to 4K, especially for 2 of these. The first, they never got released on Blu-ray. First of all, we're getting James Cameron's Aliens on 4K on March 12th. The first time that's ever been on 4K. We get The Abyss. The Abyss never was released on Blu-ray. That's finally getting a proper physical media release. And the one I'm probably the most excited about because I already own Aliens on Blu-ray, True Lies, finally coming to 4K. It never got a Blu-ray release in America. Yeah, I love Darkman Kurt. I remember seeing it in the theater way back in the day. Um, yeah, True Lies never got a Blu-ray release in America. Never. And finally, we are getting True Lies on 4K. I absolutely love that movie. I had it on DVD, but it never had a proper release past DVD. It never got upgraded. Jim Cameron finally sat down and from what I read, oversaw the remasters on Aliens, The Abyss, and True Lies. And they just released Titanic a week ago. And hi, Mom. Titanic just came out a week ago. I ordered mine because I know people can poo-poo Titanic, but it was a monumental achievement in cinema for what James Cameron was able to pull off with that film. And I was just there for the disaster stuff, and it was a major leap forward in effects and just the things they were able to pull off in that movie. So I have my 4K coming from Best Buy if it ever gets here because they emailed me telling me it was delayed, and I probably shouldn't order it from Best Buy considering they're getting rid of physical media, but that's where I ordered it from. So I'm waiting for my Titanic 4K. Best Buy, get it to me. I heard the transfer is amazing. Do me a favor, before we get into Silent Night Deadly Night, hit the like button, please. And if you're not subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button. Christmas is coming. Do me a favor. Just hit that. It doesn't cost you a dime. All right, we are going to get into a very controversial, we'll get into the controversy stuff with this movie later on down the line with this film. This film was very controversial when it got released for multiple reasons, but it's funny that this movie was controversial, but there was movies that came out before it that kind of had the same imagery, but nobody ever said anything about those movies. It's funny how those things work out. I have a feeling it was more to do with the poster, which you can see right here on that Blu-ray cover. That's what got people in a tizzy. And the previews that were, or the ads that were running on TV, which we'll talk about all that. We're getting into that, but let's get into this film. Silent Night Deadly Night came out. No, you're not in the wrong YouTube channel. I love the disaster stuff, Rich. And it was a monumental achievement, and I heard the transfer is great. That's why I bought it. I'm a movie fan, Rich. I know Titanic and me don't go along, but I bought it, and I'm actually looking forward to rewatching it with a proper 4K transfer. Now, Silent Night Deadly Night came out November 9th of 1984. It's rated R, although they had to cut 6 minutes out of the film, so the theatrical length was 79 minutes. When it came out on Blu-ray, they added the 6 minutes back in, and that's 85 minutes on the unrated Blu-ray that I have right there. I know you're just busting me, buddy. I love you. This movie was shot all in Utah, and to direct this film, originally, there was a short list of directors they wanted to go out to for this movie. And the one I'll mention is because it's a big name, especially in horror, was none other than Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi was considered to direct this film. Obviously, he didn't do it, but Charles E. Sellier came in to direct this film. Now, Charles E. Sellier had directed a few things, and after this, he only directed a few things. He went into mostly producing, of all things, a lot of Christian religious content later on. If you look at his filmography, which I think is funny, the guy who directed Silent Night Deadly Night went on to direct like Christian and religious stuff or produce those kind of things. But he did produce, or he directed another film the year after this, The Annihilators. If you ever seen that one, that came out a year later in 1985. Now, in this film, we got Robert Brian Wilson as Billy, adult Billy, 18-year-old Billy, and he would be our killer Santa, and we'll get to that. Lillian Chauvin plays Mother Superior, and is she a biatch? She was also in, notably for me, at least when I see her, I think of this role. She was in Predator 2. She was the woman who was doing the testing on the metal spear tip that Danny Glover's character took to her. Same woman, same actress in both movies. Brett Leach plays Mr. Sims, the manager of Ira's Toys. And he's been in a ton of stuff over the years, but the thing that I always remember him from is he was the guy in The Great Outdoors that kept getting struck by lightning. So that's where he's definitely recognizable from. That's who I always think about when I see him. He was Reg in The Great Outdoors, the guy who got struck by lightning all the time, would stutter a lot because yeah, that's him. There's a woman in the store plays Mrs. Randell. If you've watched this film lately, she was like the assistant manager. She was also the woman doctor in the beginning of Halloween 4 in the ambulance that gets killed by Michael Myers right in the beginning. Same actress that was in this movie was in Halloween 4. Linnea Quigley plays Denise in this film, and Linnea Quigley has been in a ton of horror. Night of the Demons, Return of the Living Dead's probably her most famous role besides this one. And she's also notable because she gets naked a lot in horror movies, and this movie is no different, which a lot of heterosexual men appreciate, and I appreciate it. Leo Getter plays her boyfriend Tommy. And the only reason I even bring him up is because he played Barry Sims in Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. He was that like scummy DJ that comes in for the college fair that they have to bring Halloween back. Same actor, got to be with Linnea Quigley in this movie, and then he was a cocksucker in Halloween 6. But same actor, had to bring that up. And Will Hare plays Grandpa, the crazy old fuck in the beginning. And his most infamous role, or the one a lot of people would recognize him, was he was Old Man Peabody in Back to the Future that had the Christmas tree farm, where Marty wrecks the DeLorean in his barn and he comes out and he tries to shoot him with the shotgun. Same actor, was in Back to the Future, was in Silent Night, Deadly Night. So that is our cast here. Let's get into the plot. This is a Christmas film. We open up on Christmas Eve with young Billy, his little brother who's a baby, and which one, Rich? The store manager or Linnea Quigley? Let me know, Rich. Um, they're going off with her parents to visit their grandfather, who's now they're doing this on Christmas Eve, which doesn't make any sense. But what the hell? We're gonna go along with it. They're driving out in the middle of nowhere on Christmas Eve to this home for I don't know if it's mentally unstable or it's a assisted living facility. I don't know. All I do know is they explain how Grandpa hasn't said a goddamn word in a very long time. He's sitting in his chair as everybody's standing around him talking, and he doesn't acknowledge anybody. Doesn't look at. Yep. Okay. Yeah, Rich. That's her. She was the woman in the ambulance at the beginning of Halloween 4. That's where you remember her from, because I know you've seen Halloween 4 many, many times. And Grandpa doesn't recognize anybody, doesn't say anything, doesn't turn his head, doesn't acknowledge anybody's even in the room. And the doctor wants to talk to the parents, so the parents and Billy's little brother go off and they leave Billy with Grandpa, which I don't know why you would do that. I know he's family, but Grandpa obviously is a tad fuckered in the head. But that's what happens. Oh, by the way, I want to give a shout out to my nephew Landon if he's watching this. I don't know if he is, but Landon, how you doing, buddy? I love you, pal. Now, as Billy's standing there, Grandpa turns to him and gives him this crazy ass shit-eating grin and starts telling Billy, ask him if he's been a good boy this year. And Billy goes, well, he's kind of iffy on it. He goes, well, you know what Santa does to bad children? He punishes them. And he starts laughing in the most evilest way you could imagine. And sorry about that. I thought I was having a computer problem, but I'm all right. Um, After this, Billy's freaked out. He's not excited about Santa coming anymore. He's freaked out. He's worried that since he wasn't the best of a kid this year, that Santa's gonna punish him big time. So, they leave the facility to drive him back, and his parents are talking to him about, "Are you excited about Santa?" He's like, "No, I don't want Santa to come. You know what he does to bad children?" And the parents kind of calm him down, kind of drop it, and then we cut to this convenience store, and the Santa Claus walks in, and he shoots uh, the guy who's running the store dead and takes all the money. And then we cut to the family driving down the highway, middle of the night, trying to get home for Christmas, and they see this Santa in the middle of the road. His car had broken down. And Billy wakes up just in time. He's like, "Don't stop, Daddy, don't stop." Daddy's already stopped. The guy pulls out the gun. The wife says, "Floor it," and he starts to back up. And this guy with a handgun, who doesn't look like the most stable of dudes, with sportsman, like he came right out of the war, like he's a sniper with his handgun, hits the father right in the head with a bullet. He crashes the car. Billy gets out of the car, runs into the ditch across the street, and proceeds to watch Santa Claus sexually assault his mother and then slit her throat. Yeah, if you didn't think this kid is going to have some issues, and we'll talk about that. So Billy sees all this happening. His brother's screaming in the back of the station wagon, and we fast forward a few years. Billy's a little older. Him and his brother are living in an orphanage now, run by Mother Superior. and she is a hard-nosed biatch, and she does not take any shit, and she thinks corporal punishment and my way or the highway is the only way to do it. Now Billy seems we're introduced to him again, reintroduced to him, and he seems like a nice enough kid. He's a little shy, a little awkward, obviously a little PTSD from what he saw that night. And the one nun is very sympathetic to Billy's plight. She knows Billy went through a lot, obviously, and Mother Superior's methods may not be the best thing for Billy. And we see Mother Superior being very hard on Billy for the smallest of things. Well, it all culminates in Santa's coming to the orphanage. It's Christmas Eve, and she's like, Billy is going to sit on Santa's lap. And the other nun's like, I don't think that's the best of ideas. And she forces Billy to get on Santa's lap, or try to get him on his lap, and he's screaming and pulling and trying to get away from Santa, as this kid would, considering what he witnessed. And he turns around and cold cocks Santa. Now, it's supposed to be a serious moment showing this kid being really messed up over what happened, but I laugh every time. The kid just turns around and cold cocks Santa. Santa flies off this chair. I laugh every time. Every year I watch this, and every year I laugh. I know I'm not supposed to. I find the humor in it, and it makes me laugh my ass off. I know that's sick, but it's true. So anyway, so this is Billy's upbringing now. We fast forward, he's 18. He's a big, strong kid now. And the other, Mother Margaret, takes him to try to get him a job at Irish Toys, which Irish toy store in town, and they hire him because he's a big, strong kid. Well, Christmas comes around, and Billy's not too happy to see all the pictures of Santa around, but he keeps it together. It's Christmas Eve. Their Santa can't come in. The store owner, or the store manager, Mr. Sims, asks Billy to dress up as Santa. Billy, not wanting to disappoint his boss, dresses up. And after the store closes, he sees another sexual assault. His asshole coworker in the warehouse tries to sexually assault this woman that Billy's kind of fond of. And Billy snaps, kills the guy, kills everybody in the store. He chokes the coworker out. He basically guts the girl he likes after she calls him crazy. Kills Mr. Sims, buries a hammer in his head, and then shoots the woman who's from Halloween 4 with an arrow and kills her. And Billy is off and running with an axe in his hand. And pretty much from here, he just runs amok. Now, Billy does have a code, though, so we got to give Billy some credit. He won't kill a child. And we see this. He runs into a little girl when he kills Linnea Quigley and her boyfriend in a pretty cool scene. This is where Linnea Quigley and her boyfriend are getting after it, as teenagers do. And Billy kills Linnea Quigley. Now, there's a scene where she's against a wall, paneling wall, and he throws the axe and it gets buried in the wall next to her. That was a real axe that was buried in the wall next to her head. And then he picks her up half naked and puts her on a deer antlers, which is a kill I've remembered since I was a kid when I first saw this film. And then he kills Leo Getter's character, throws him out a window, and he lands on this fence and that. So, and then Billy, there's the toboggan kill where these two bullies steal these two kids' toboggans, and he pops out of the real asshole kid, and yells punish, and he chops his head off with the axe, and then the kid at the bottom's waiting for his friend. The sled comes down with the headless body, and then the head rolls down behind it. Great stuff. And then Billy decides, I'm going to go back and kill Mother Superior. He goes to try to kill Mother Superior, and unfortunately he gets killed before he could kill her. And that is the end of Silent Night, Deadly Night. Now, what to like about this film? Because I think over the years, it's easy to dismiss this as your ordinary, everyday slasher film. And it gives us those things. It's just an 80s slasher film that takes place at Christmas. We have a killer Santa Claus. Well, he's not really Santa, but he's dressed up like Santa Claus, and he's killing a bunch of people in pretty graphic ways. And this movie does get pretty mean, especially the beginning with the mother and that. It gets a little nasty, and it gets mean. And I always appreciated about that. It didn't hold any punches. What I find, especially as I get older, rewatching this, and I've seen this probably 25 times in my lifetime, they really do take the time. And I'm not saying it's the most well-written movie, or not even the most well-shot movie. There's some shots I really do like in this film. It's not like a complete low-budget dumpster fire. But they do take the time to set up Billy. And I appreciate that. And they really do show, and in the hands of a more nuanced filmmaker, this movie could probably even been better than it was. But as it is, it's a pretty decent slasher film. And they do spend enough time with Billy that you get to know Billy And am I freezing up? Is everything going okay? Just leave a comment, please. Um, they really do spend enough time with Billy to set him up, his plight, everything he's gone through, and really, Billy, like I said, and when he's at the orphanage, he seems like a good kid. He's polite, he listens. Yeah, he's a kid, and he'll do some stuff that Mother Superior don't like. But Mother Superior is such a hard ass, and she does not see that this kid has some issues. And with the proper care and the proper treatment or just handling of Billy, none of this. Okay, thank you. I was just wondering. My computer keeps seeing I'm freezing, but I don't think I am. Thanks, Kathy and Kurt. I appreciate it. All right, thanks, Rich. Yeah, I think I'm all right. I just think my computer's just acting a little goofy. Um, they Billy's a good kid, and really, if Mother Superior was more sensitive to his plight and what was going on with him, none of this, all this could have been avoidable. If she would have listened to his sister Margaret, Billy probably wouldn't have killed a bunch of people on Christmas Eve and went postal like he did. But the way he was treated and not being taken care of the way he should have been, Billy went postal and snapped. And you could see why he would do that with everything he's been through. And then being shoved into a Santa costume on Christmas Eve. And and then like things just come crashing down. The girl he has kind of a crush on, he sees her in the back with this other guy, and the guy's getting aggressive, and then he kills him, and the girl tells him he's crazy. All this stuff just snowballs. So you can see where Billy's coming from. Not that we're rooting for him. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you can see where Billy's coming from and why he decided to just go off the deep end and start murdering people. Not to say it's right, but you could see why. And sometimes we don't get that in horror films. Sometimes they're just killing people, and I like those kind of films too. But they really do try to take their time and show you why Billy does what he does. And I do appreciate that, and I appreciate it more and more as I get older. Now there are certainly cheesy moments here. Um, like I said, if this was handled in a with a better director, probably could have done something a little bit more special with it. As it is, it's a perfectly fine slasher film, and it's definitely one I enjoy watching. It has sleaze to it. It's cheesy. There's some cool kills. Billy is a very effective killer, and at the end of the day, it's one of those Christmas horror films that I really do enjoy. I don't like it as much as Black Christmas, but I think it's a damn good Christmas horror film, and it's one I pull out every year. That's why I have that Blu-ray right there. Um, but I do like Billy as a character, from the young kid to the adult. I think all the iterations of him and the actors who play him are pretty good. And obviously in the sequel, if you've ever seen the sequel, it's streaming on Tubi for free. They reuse a lot of footage from this film, and then his brother takes up the mantle. Although that movie has its own specialties to it. You could watch my review. You could check it out. It's on the channel. That movie's a lot of fun, but it's not a good movie. I don't, Mother Superior is so over the top in her militantness with how she handles the kids that you almost want to see her get killed at the end. Like, she's such a bitch, um, and it makes me feel bad saying it because she's a nun, but still, at the end of the day, she's a real. So, I kind of was almost rooting for Billy at the end just to end her. What kills me in these types of movies is you get cops that are just spectacular. And what I mean by that is there's a cop that's going to the orphanage because they know Billy's making a beeline for the orphanage after the mayhem he inflicted on the town. And this cop sees the Santa Claus walking. The kids are outside playing, and the Santa Claus is walking towards the kids. This cop pulls up, gets out with his gun drawn, and just blows the guy away. Well, he says stop, but the guy is so far away, he might not hear him. And then we find out after he kills this guy, it was one of the pastors on duty there who has a hearing problem who always dresses up as Santa Claus. And the cop's like, well, I'm sorry, Mother Superior, I didn't mean to. And it's like, they just drop it. It's just so funny just because he just killed somebody, and we're just going to move on. We're worried that Billy's coming. It's like, no, you just killed an innocent guy that was dressing like Santa trying to bring joy to these little kids, and he blew him away. And now we're supposed to say, yeah, it's no big deal. Who gives a shit? It's just funny the way they handle it. It's just, it's the chef's kiss of bad movie cops. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad movie, but you know what I mean. Um, the ending with Billy getting shot and killed, it's justified. Um, and you see his brother at the end watching him see this happen, and then the camera goes in on his brother, and he goes punish, and that's how the movie ends, setting up a sequel, which we did get a few years later. But you know, I did a whole review on the second one, so we're not going to talk about that one. But if you have a chance, check it out. It's definitely worth watching. It's fun in a very B movie cheesy way. Like I said, this movie was all filmed in Utah. They only had $750,000 budget. Now, this movie, to get to the controversy of why this movie was so controversial when it was released, this movie opened up. It opened up in wide release on November 9th. It actually did $2.5 million opening weekend, which this movie would have made a lot more money, but it got yanked after one weekend. And the reason being was a lot of parents and religious groups protested outside theaters because of the posters, which I love that poster. It's genius, of Santa with an axe, and the promotional materials they were showing on TV showed Santa walking with an axe, and parents were obviously a little concerned that if kids saw that, you know. So they protested, and TriStar felt the heat, and after a week in theaters, one weekend in theaters, they yanked the film from wide release, and then it went basically to home video after that. Um, that's why it's so controversial. Now, the original cut was only 79 minutes. This cut, the unrated cut, which is on most home video releases, you'll find, adds in all the gore because they were worried they were going to get the rated X. Which back then, if you got a rated X, you were only allowed to play in certain theaters. You couldn't advertise. There was all these restrictions, so they cut all the gore out. Now on this disc, all the gore is put back in. The problem is, if you watch one of these, even if it's remastered, the footage with the gore, and you could tell there's a dip in quality and image quality. It almost looks like VHS. That's because the film print with those scenes were in such bad shape. That's the best they can get them. So that's the best they're ever gonna look. If you ever watch this and wonder why the hell look like shit in this scene, that's why they can't do any better. The film print was in such disarray with those scenes on it. That's the best they can do. So just be happy you could see the uncut version of the kills that they did film for this movie. Now Charles E. Sellier was the director of the movie, but for the kill scenes, he couldn't bring himself to direct those scenes. So the editor had to step in to direct the kill scenes. It's crazy. You're making a horror movie called Silent Night, Deadly Night, and you can't stomach shooting the kill scenes. Maybe this wasn't the movie for you. Um, Now, the funny thing is about all the controversy is this isn't the first time Santa Claus has murdered people on film. Matter of fact, in 1980, a little film called Christmas Evil came out, which was a guy dressed as Santa Claus killing folks. If you ever seen that one, it's streaming on Tubi for free if you want to check that one out. And then there was always the Tales from the Crypt. Yes, I know Tales from the Crypt later, the series did the Santa Claus with Larry Drake, the crazy Santa Claus on Christmas Eve. But they also did it in the 70s. The old Tales from the Crypt did it with Santa Claus, crazy Santa Claus killing people. So it's not the first time Santa Claus was ever used on screen killing folks. So I don't know what it was at this time that people just felt like they had to protest this film. It's a little strange, but it was the 80s. It was a different time. But this movie actually opened the same weekend as Nightmare on Elm Street in '84. Nightmare on Elm Street opened the same weekend this one did. And actually, this one outgrossed that opening weekend. And then obviously it's got yanked, and Nightmare on Elm Street became the classic compared to this film. The film during production was known as Sleigh Ride. That was going to be the title. TriStar decided to change the title a few weeks before, or very, it wasn't too long before release that they changed the title to Silent Night, Deadly Night, actually. Um, Hold on here. The orphanage in the movie was an abandoned schoolhouse. Other than that, I don't have any other trivia for this one. What are your thoughts on it? Someone did you rewatch it? Yeah, Santa lost, even though he's a magical creature. He lost to a dream demon. Imagine that. Have you watched this one lately? Did you rewatch it? I know, Rich, you just rewatched this, I think, last week. Um, it's one I pull out every year. There's Christmas horror films that I always make sure I watch is Krampus. I just watched Krampus the other night. I absolutely love Krampus. Black Christmas is my absolute favorite Christmas horror film. I watched this one. And then there's another one, uh, Better Watch Out. If you get a chance, check that one out. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but it's a pretty good Christmas horror film. If you get a chance, check it out. Patrick Warburton's in it, and Virginia Madsen's in it. They don't have major roles, but they're in the film. Um, it's basically about this babysitter watching this kid that she's been watching for years on Christmas Eve, and shit goes wrong. That's pretty much what it's about. But if you get a chance, check it out. And New Year's is upon us soon too. It's always a good time to pull out Terror Train, folks, because it's that time of the year. But for Christmas horror films, Christmas Evil's not bad. I've only ever seen that one a couple times. I got to rewatch that one as well. I just started watching. Oh, you're gonna watch it, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Kath. That's great. You guys have to let me know what you think about it. Um, I just started watching Jack Frost yesterday. I didn't get to finish it. I'm gonna finish it on Monday. I've never seen it actually, and it's one of those horror comedies. I'm gonna review it once I finish watching. It's on Tubi. I was laughing my ass off at that movie. I from what I can understand, Rich, from everything I've read, it was because of the use of Santa Claus in the marketing, holding an axe. That was what people took umbrage with. And this was a, and even Siskel and Ebert called out the filmmakers on their show because they thought this movie was so abhorrent. Now they did the same thing with Friday the 13th, and it's like you're being prudish towards. It's a slasher movie. It's not that these people aren't Satanists. They're nothing but people trying to make a horror movie and entertain people. It's not like anything in this movie is. I've seen way worse Cannibal Holocaust, mind you. This doesn't even reach those heights. Yeah, there's some cool kills and there's some cool gore gags, but it's like it's not that crazy, really. Yeah, there's some mean spirited shit in it, but it's not. I've even before this came out, there was worse than this. So I don't understand the problem. I think it was people tend to protest shit they don't understand, and they hear something like, "Oh, you see this movie coming out with Santa Claus as the killer," and you get people riled up, and it's like if they would have just watched the movie. I know, I know, Rich, I know. If they just watched the movie first before they protested, then they know what they're protesting about. But usually with this stuff, they don't even know what they're protesting about most of the time, and watching this movie now, thinking that even back then, this was, I mean, yeah, there's some rough stuff in there, but it's not. Friday 13th Part 4 came out the same year. That was way more gorier than this movie and way more hardcore than this movie. So I don't understand. From what I read, it's just the Santa Claus in the ads. That's what got people's panties in a bunch. I don't understand it. I never understood some of those protests in the 80s with music and shit. Like, remember the list of bands that were Satan worshippers, which was complete horseshit? Def Leppard was on that goddamn list. I'm like, Def Leppard is not fucking Satanist, for Christ's sake. There was just a ton of crazy shit in the 80s that got people riled up over nothing. Um, but yeah, I remember that stuff, like the music stuff and that in the 80s, late 80s and stuff. My God, some of the stuff was hilarious thinking back on it now. But I mean, even hell, you could even think Halloween 2 is just as gory as this movie, and that came out before this movie. It was just a whole Santa Claus thing with an axe. No, it seems silly now, but yeah, that's why they protested, and they were successful. They got it yanked from theaters after only one weekend in the theaters, which it's a shame. If this movie would have got was able to stay on, it would have made some more money. I mean, it did $2.5 million opening weekend. Actually, Rich, I've been listening to it on Alexa. The song "The Warm Side of the Door," they play it when Billy's in. You can listen to it. Just tell Alexa to play "The Warm Side of the Door." It'll play the song that they play during showing Billy in the toy store working. That is a real song by a real dude, and you can listen to it on your Alexa. I swear to God. I listened to it a few times since I watched this movie last week. Just a banger, man. It's a Christmas song, though, so Rich, you're not just listen to it. Just listen to it, but yeah, it's an actual real song. You can listen to it on your Alexa. Now, obviously, um, Silent Night Deadly Night went on. I talked about part two, but there's a part three, there's a part four, there's a part five. You can get all of them on Blu-ray. They have a Blu-ray disc with 3, 4, and 5 on it. I have not seen 3, 4, and 5 in I've only ever seen them once, and that was back in the '90s. Broad Street Video, baby, renting them from Broad Street Video. But there was sequels. I don't remember much about 3, 4, and 5. 2 I just rewatched. 2 is enjoyable for how bad it is. Um, yeah, yeah, definitely, Rich. Um, yeah, so there are sequels. You could actually, I think they're all the if you have Tubi, you can watch all the sequels if you're interested. I was just looking through Tubi yesterday. I believe they're all on there. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all on there right now. So you can watch them for free, and they're uncut. I mean, they throw a commercial in here and there, but it's not bad. So if you've never used Tubi, they're on Tubi if you're interested to watch them. Um, I I'd be interested to go back to watch 3, 4, and 5. I know Bill Mosley's in 3, I think, and then Clint Howard's in 5, or maybe it's 4. I don't know. There's like known horror actors in like each movie. But like I said, I've only ever seen them once, and it was back in the '90s, renting them from my video store of choice, Broad Street Video, way back when. Um, yeah. So, but if you want to check them out, they're on Tubi. You can check them out. God bless Tubi. Never change Tubi. I love you. You're a great resource especially for horror movies. But that is it for this episode. We did Silent Night, Deadly Night, and I like this film. I do. And at the end of the day, what I would give Silent Night, Deadly Night, I would give it a 7 out of 10. I enjoy this movie. I really do. Yes, there's some dumb shit. It's cheesy in moments. It has all those 80s tropes. But I just saw Thanksgiving back in November, and I absolutely loved it. Actually, it's probably, I don't know yet. I'm going to do my rankings for my favorite horror movies of the year. But Thanksgiving might be my goddamn favorite horror movie of the year. I had such a blast with it. And when I saw Thanksgiving, it gave me everything I wanted from an 80s style slasher film, wrapped up in one film. And this movie's no different. It really isn't. I think Thanksgiving's better made, and I think there's some better kills in Thanksgiving, and I like the story better. But I appreciate this movie. It's not grade A horror movie stuff, but at the end of the day, it's a movie I enjoy. So 7 out of 10 for Silent Night, Deadly Night from me. Um, on Letterboxd, that would be about a 3.5 stars out of 5. I like this movie. It's definitely one of those horror films I grew up on. I remember seeing it very young. I was probably 8 or 9 the first time I saw it. And it's a movie that, until the last 10 years, I probably didn't see all that much. But then I just started watching it again on a regular basis every Christmas season. Um, but yeah, I like this movie. So at the end of the day, it's a perfectly good Christmas horror film. And if you haven't seen it in a while, I check it out. It's on Tubi if you want to watch it for free. It's on there. And check out the sequel too. Let me know what you think of that. Shoot me an email or shoot me a message. But that is it for this episode of Horror Talk Live. I want to thank you all for joining me here tonight. And I hope you and your families all have a great Christmas. And we will do this again. Yeah, Rich. Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I'm going to try to do this again in January. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'll announce that as we get there. And then in February this year, last year we did Valentine. I already know what I'm going to do in February. We're going back to the 80s for a Valentine's horror movie. And it's probably the best Valentine's horror movie ever made. But we're going to talk about My Bloody Valentine, the 80s one. Can't wait to talk about that one. God damn, I love that movie. But again, have a great weekend. Have a great Friday night. Have a very Merry Christmas. I'll have a few more videos before Christmas. I'm going to review, I have a little video me and my son filmed of me playing a Psycho Santa. Got my top 10 favorite Christmas movies. I'm going to review Jack Frost. And then I'll have, I want to see that movie about the Iron Cross, the wrestling movie about the Von Erichs out of Texas. I really want to see that movie. It doesn't come out till Christmas Eve, though. Son of a bitch. But I can't wait to see that one. But yeah, a lot of fun stuff coming up. But again, have a very Merry Christmas. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.